Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining today's webinar. I am excited to have on the screen Michael Caney and Jonathan Salama from Transfix and Highway. And without further ado, I'm just going to pass it over to you, Michael.
Thank you, Jesse. Appreciate it. Jonathan, what's up, man?
How's it going?
It's going well. You are a developer, right? So is it like software developers and Zoom, just two different?
Yeah, we're a Google shop. It's not my fault that Hangout and Zoom hate each other.
I know we're a Google shop too. I remember in the pandemic when Zoom blew up, I thought for the longest time Zoom was the category leader. And I think they were. And lately I'm like, I don't love Zoom as much as I used to.
Yeah, I think it's a case study on how to fumble when you're at the top.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Man, I'm so excited to talk to you, mainly because I do a lot of these, and sometimes I just want to talk to my friends and hang out. And
yeah,
I think what I hope you feel is you're listening to the webinar, whether you're listening to us live, or whether you catch this in a recording. One of the reasons it's such a joy to do business with Jonathan as a human and with Transfix as a company is because we have a lot of mutual value alignment in terms of just how we think about customers, how we think about solving problems. And I hope you hear that today. And so we're going to talk a little bit about just kind of values, how Jonathan got here, the current state of Transfix and its evolution. But we're going to talk really specifically about how technology should be applied, like in a modern TMS, like load level transactions. And so if you're out there, if you're looking for a TMS, if you're looking for a solution, I hope you find something valuable today. I'm gonna call Jonathan. So, man, let's get into it first. For anybody that doesn't know, dude, tell everybody how you didn't even know, like how you thought you were in trucking when you started this business. Like, I love your story. We're gonna get into the software, but like,
yeah,
you got to tell everybody how you fell in love with this.
and yeah, okay. So I think it was like now 13 years ago. I was in a place in my career. I wanted to start something. I didn't know what it was. I talked to a bunch of people. I've never found the right fit. So it was very, like all different categories, all different verticals. Couldn't find it, and then was pitching these ideas to a friend who eventually said, like, listen, like none of these are good. Just stop. I know a friend who has like a potentially good idea. You should talk to him. So we met with my co-founder Drew at a bar, and like so he actually went to meet me at a bar that was right by my place. So I told my wife like, hey, I'll be back like probably like 30 minutes. I don't think this is going anywhere. Um, I went to grab drinks with Drew. He told me all about like just the 13 years ago, trucking was not what it is today. Freight brokerage was
That's right.
not what it is today.
That's right.
And so he told me how messy it was and all this stuff. And I sort of like, wow, this is really interesting. So I got home, I made too much noise, woke my wife up, and I just told her like, I'm starting a trucking company. And she's like, yeah, sure you are. Go to
Yeah.
bed. To this day, I am pretty sure my family still think it's a trucking company. Uh,
Okay.
but well, it's been fun ever since.
So for the longest time, you and Drew ran a brokerage, and you
Yes,
you
we started as
lived
one.
you lived through this thesis of the digital brokerage, and
Yeah,
everything's fragmented. And if we just hire enough carrier reps, we can build around those user stories. And you don't run a brokerage today; you run a software
no,
company. So, like, I think it's really refreshing your pivot, and I think a lot of traditional freight brokers would love to hear, like, I mean, why didn't the digital freight brokerage boom? And why are you so bullish on what you're doing today? And like why does the traditional freight broker
yeah,
have hope? Does that make sense?
yeah, yeah, 100%. I think like and I can talk to it through time, right? Like because 13 years ago, we took a quick look at like what was in the market, and we talked about it back then as intelligence. There were no intelligence. It wasn't what AI is today. What we were talking about is like data infrastructure. Like there is no concept of proper data, constructive feedback from insights you can get from data, right? That
Got
whole
it.
concept was nowhere near in the space 13 years ago. And that's frankly why we decided to build our own. that's why, because we thought our tactical edge was always going to be the we called it intelligence, but like you know what I mean, right? Like the tactical insight we can get from our data, the automations that you can create, and all this, right? And so um, about 2 years ago, we we saw an opportunity for ourselves to sell the brokerage and become a tech company because frankly, not to disparage anybody, but nobody, like, they still had the same problems. Like,
Yeah,
we're in the age of AI. Yeah, it doesn't work if your data isn't there to support it. That's full stop. um
that's right.
it's like, you can have as much good data as you want, as bad data as you want. It's not going to make anything behind it smart. um so we thought, like, we're obviously very passionate about this. We made the decision to divest the brokerage, and we're taking all this learnings that we've had from operating a brokerage for 12 years or 11 years into this TMS that really doesn't behave like a TMS. It behaves
Okay.
like a platform that allows you to make decisions, or makes decisions for you often, right? And that's where that's where our partnership is critical, right? Because when we're talking about like clean data that you can action on,
Yep.
it starts with the carriers. So that's a little bit why, like, I think like there's hope, because in this new wave of of technology, right, you can, as a broker, yes, automate a lot, but also makes better decisions faster. I think that's the trick.
Got it. So I want to come back to the decision piece because I think that's really critical, right?
Yep.
And decisions. So one of the things that I love about you is like you're a developer by trade.
Yep.
And so like there's so many times where you and I've just been talking about a problem and you're like, I'll just go build it. I'll go just give me tonight. You have a couple of Grey Goose and sodas and you call me the next
Yeah.
day and you're like, okay, I think it's almost done. We're going to deliver it next week. Let's get this done for XYZ customer. Where do you
Hmm.
think when you look across the modern TMS landscape, right, and you talk to customers,
Hmm.
what do you think is the fundamental difference between the way legacy technologies, particularly TMSs, think about the world and their job for a freight broker versus the way you think about what your job is for a freight broker? What do you think the core difference is?
Yeah, it's hard to answer the question directly because I don't know what they do per se, but I can tell you, without a fact, that we have more empathy towards freight broker than any other TMSs out there
Yeah,
from being one, right? Like this, I want all of my customer to not just, great, you have a TMS now, we can move on to the next TMS sale. Like, we want to grow their business. We develop a whole cost solution system so that they can price better and grow their system. We want to take out the pain because I think, I mean, with everything that's happening in the market, in politics, in fraud, like, freight brokers are having a very tough time, and
that's right.
we're like, before saying how we behave from a tech perspective, how we behave from like an AI perspective, like, I think, for if everybody who's at Transfix today has been a freight broker.
That's right.
Everybody has call carriers. We used to make everyone, once a quarter, you pick up the phone and you book freight. Now I'll tell you, like, I was never very good at it. Yeah, but I did it, right? Like, and it would, like, it humbles you, like they're great carriers, but sometimes, like, it's a very, very tough industry. And
That's
so,
right.
like, we know that firsthand, and so we're fully empathetic to the broker. So if a broker comes in and say, like you said, like, I have this issue,
Yeah,
I need help, like, you're not gonna hear anybody from the team saying, like, well, we got to put in the roadmap, and it's probably gonna be next year or 2 years from now, right?
yeah.
It's all right.
And
Let's fix it now.
how do I get paid for it?
Oh yeah, like, how much does
Yeah,
it
like
cost?
yeah, well, and like so I think the what I want everybody on this call to hear, if you're a highway customer and you appreciate the scheduled auto feature in highway, that was a very early feature in highway, you send Jonathan Salama a thank you note. because like the testimony to what you're saying is very early. When you were still running a brokerage, we were trying to figure out how to solve problems, and you were manually getting these things to try to build some things in your TMS, and we said, well, I think we can go get that for you. And it was
Yeah.
Rob Dowd who was like, if you really
Yeah.
want this thing to be valuable to me, I need this piece of data. And everybody's
Yep.
like, you'll never get it. And now we have it, and we've got scheduled autos on a couple 100,000 certs, and it's beautiful, right? And we're able to
It's
corroborate
huge.
that with telematics data, which is gonna help talk about the solution that you have today in your TMS. But like, what I remember from that is like, it was more about solving the problem. And I talked to so many providers that the first question they ask is how they get paid or what I'm going to pay them.
Always.
And the first question you ask is like, how do we solve this problem for the customer? And I think there's 3 or 4 things that you were like, that you were building, and you're like, oh, I don't need to do that. You've got it. I'm gonna step away from this. We're gonna ship it in our TMS, and I'm gonna go on to something else because that's not core. I don't need to do that. If you've solved that problem, I don't need to do that. And I just love the way you have this robust idea of like, the TMS is just this layer, right? And
Yeah.
the broker should be able to put anything they want attached to it. It should be their choice, right?
Yeah.
Rather than the TMS trying to be all things to all people.
And I think like, every broker thinks they're doing something different. But at the end, they all have the same problems. They all need to execute the same thing, and then they all need to be efficient. So the way we see it is like, if you have this problem, others are having this problem. Right? So let's not fix it. Like, we'll fix it for you, but like, it's going to make our whole product better. Why
That's right.
would I charge you, customers, or a highway partner or something, for making our platform better?
That's right. That's right. Well, okay, we're gonna clip that and put it on the internet. So I want to come back to this decision thing.
Yes.
I was talking to a group of underwriters and insurers the other day, and we were just talking about the evolution of risk, not only just in transportation, but in brokered freight volume where you and I live. And the case that I made to these insurers was that we for a long time, I think we are evaluating the wrong risk object, and that we think about the motor carrier or the load. So is this carrier risky? And that's certainly something to consider. Or is this load risky? And that's certainly something to consider. Some commodities carry higher theft. Some traffic lanes are targeted.
Yeah.
Some carriers are more risky from both a safety perspective and a cargo theft perspective. But the risk is actually in the decision.
Yes.
The risk is not the fact that this bad actor exists or that this particular cargo is targeted. The risk is actually in the system that makes the decision or the user that makes the decision to put those risky things together and then feel a loss. The risk object is the decision.
Yeah. I will add something on top of that, because I agree 100%. But also, it's never revisiting the decision. So I put this carrier right now is great. No risk. This carrier has 0 risk today. I put it on a load that picks up tomorrow, right? Tomorrow afternoon. And tomorrow morning, the carrier becomes risky. The decision isn't done when it's done. The decision is done once the carrier has picked up and everything's fine. And so if things changed, you need the partners that are going to like show you that, hey, you made the decision. It was safe yesterday. It is no longer safe. Do you want to review it?
Well, and Jonathan, I would even say we've seen it change in transit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so even when it picks up, like now
100%.
something changes, something got redirected. And like when you and I talked about this, and people have heard me talk about this publicly, most mature markets have gotten here. We talked about this when we were together at the Freight Fraud Symposium. In banking, we like when I go borrow something, like I use Plaid to connect my bank accounts because that underwriter wants to see exactly what I'm doing in real time during the underwriting process before that loan funds. Where like, 10, 15 years ago, the underwriting process was a lot more static. And so today, like we don't trade any other transaction on static data or even a linear process. Like I see all these things like you have to stack things and all the vetting processes are this very linear, do this, do this, do this, do this. And I think it's cumbersome and frankly, it's a little bit unintelligent because it doesn't work. It breaks down.
Yeah.
You have to take a matrix approach and look at how the weight of those factors change. I know you know that as a developer. So let's
Yeah.
get into like why is load level compliance and transaction level risk so important? Why does it have to be done in real time? And how are you solving that problem?
I can just show you
I
instead
would
of
love to
telling
see
you.
it. I would love to see
Like
it.
that's an easy one. So we've like, I mean, you've noticed, but I'll talk through for everybody here. Like, so as Mike mentions, we have a TMS, and compliance, fraud prevention is something we partner with you guys deeply on to make sure that the information is surfaced in the TMS live. Because, like you said, it could happen before pickup, but it could happen after pickup. A lot of things could happen.
This is like what the carrier file looks like in Transfix.
Yes, and it's the same information you see in Transfix is the information you see
In Highway.
in Highway. We get
Okay.
the compliance checklist. It has all this information. It has the insurance, and it has everything. We use that information very specifically when it's time for you to book the carrier. Or like if the shipper is asking for 2 million coverage, this carrier has 1 million. Well, flag
That's
it, and
right.
I'm going to show that in a second. But that's
Yeah,
not
because you're
exactly
contemplating our classifications,
correct.
right? Like, and I don't know of another TMS that does that. Like, you actually consume the classification that we produce for freight types.
Yeah, yeah. We're showing everything. And you mentioned the VIN numbers. You mentioned like we're grabbing all of this. Like you see the little logo here.
Oh, you got the
And
exclusions. Okay, wow, that's amazing.
yeah, yeah, we're showing everything. But the fun part is when you get into a shipment details. So that's our TMS. That's how everything looks. But I'm going to go specifically into. I'm going to cover the shipment. I'm going to put a carrier on it. This carrier has a potential risk. It's a potential risk. Everything might be fine still. I know the carrier. I trust them. The decision I'm making right now, I believe, is the right one by offering this shipment to the carrier. So obviously, this is like a little bit of a fake environment where things are going to happen a bit fast. But as the load happened, at any time, if Highway shows that like there's something wrong happening while you're in your TMS, you see this little window here. Hey, something's not right. You would see that pop up happen while you are on any page on our TMS. You don't have to be on the shipments, but once you click View Issue, we're putting you inside the shipments. We're putting you inside the actual things that we've detected. This is the message coming from Highway that you guys detected something fraudulent, and we're giving you the step
Oh
to
man,
solve
so
this.
you got a whole script here.
It's all like this is what you do. Pause the load. Stop sending information to carrier. Call this number. This is the number that like is verified by Highway and FMCSA. Like check that the driver and truck number match. Once you do all this, you know what? This was a false alert. You can resolve. Or hey, you can never use this carrier again. Marked as cannot use. This will remove the carrier from the load. This will tell Highway like we've got it. You're right. We're removing the carrier. You're done.
So when that gets resolved, does it resolve the issue in load lock, Jonathan?
Yep.
Got it. So if you're a customer,
saved.
if you're a load lock customer, you know what I'm talking about. You have this whole you have a list of issues, and so what's happening here is like you're actually resolving that load lock issue, and I'm assuming it's a webhook or something, Jonathan, that you push back to us.
That's right.
But so that's what's actually happening. So that's a load lock issue that was resolved in real time that got pushed back to Highway and cleared the issue on our side.
That's exactly right.
That's slick. That's slick. So let's talk about Montgomery. So you ran a brokerage for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So you bought insurance. You had to make risk decisions. One of the things that Highway's been telling our customers is like in the post-Montgomery world, you have to have a safety standard.
Yeah.
I can't, as a software company, I can't tell you what that is, right? I can't go out and assume that risk. I can give you the data to make the decision, and I can give you the data to make the decision consistently. Now, you've got to have a reliable TMS in order to be able to prove that you're making those decisions consistently, and in order to be able to remove some human error from the process.
Yeah.
Right? Let's go back to risk isn't a decision. And so one of the things that we've done for our customers, Jonathan, is we now have an audit trail where so everything you just showed in Transfix, if a customer wants an audit 6 months later, 2 years later, we're going to hold it for 7 years, Highway can ship you all of that data, the booking decision, what was done, like, hey, that this risk profile
Yeah.
changed, you removed the carrier from the load, like we can show you all of that.
Yeah.
What are you seeing as the importance of like audits real time? Like where do you see things break down? And I know you don't know much about other TMSs because you've lived in your own for 13 years, but just as a technology leader, like just talk about the importance of consistency and
Yeah.
human error.
I think like, so you have an audit trail, we have an audit trail. Every software should have an audit trail. Like that's just like baseline, real easy to do. And
Yep.
like it shouldn't be a feature that you need to pay for because now it's required. Like it needs to be part of your TMS. It's where everything breaks down. It's when like forget a second the Montgomery case, the decision, the risk, all this stuff, right? Like when we're talking about intelligent decision, comes from having proper data. All those audit that you're talking about reflects the proper data, the proper structure that comes from like the baseline TMS you should ask for. Like that's what you should get, right? And so then from these audits that you're talking about, like that's when you can review decision, you can understand whether it was the right one or not. You can change SOPs, patterns, you can change behavior based on that data. Not having it is like it is no longer something you should be okay with, especially because now you can be audited and ask, hey, why did you put this carrier on a load?
So
You need to say why.
how do you help the human with that? So like, man, AI. Oh my God, everybody talking about AI. And one of the things that I often think about is like this idea of if you automate bad data, you just have automated bad data. If you automate a bad process, you just automated a bad like
I mean,
why is just bolting AI on top of something not the answer? What like how are you applying that in your
yeah,
application?
there's a few things. I don't, again, I'm not disparaging any vendors, right? But like I go back to the TMS should be the source of truth and having all the data and have everything. Like a lot of the TMS out there, you want appointment scheduling, you need a tool. You want this, you need another tool. So you've got a lot of your fundamental data leaving the TMS and not coming back into it,
Okay.
right? And so like that by itself is going to make it really high for an AI to understand anything about how you schedule an appointment or how you track a shipment or whatever it is, right? Like if you're going to have, if you want AI to be impactful, it needs to have the full picture. You can't just have what you are showing it at a given time because like that's the information it has. Um, so like it's not only bad data, but it's also the lack of data by having too many sources, not one source of truth that like is there to have everything. Um, and I'm sure everybody here has used ChatGPT or Gemini or any AI tool. The level of quality of the answers you get very much corresponds to the data you give it.
Yeah. It's just reading a mass corpus of text, right? Like
Yeah. So
so
so I think well, go ahead. Yeah.
well, I was gonna say like when you so you're talking about so we've got kind of two things going on. One, your philosophy is that a customer should be able to use the applications that they want, and the TMS should be able to sit under and support those things, and customers should be able to choose. But you're also saying like once the data leaves, you lose control over it. So how does a modern TMS effectively work with solutions like Highway, Queued, tracking solutions to make AI more effective? Like what is the thing that you do differently that actually makes the AI investment work? Or is your AI native?
I was going to say we don't we don't think about it as an add-on. We don't think about it as, oh, now we have to add it. Like we've
Okay.
been working in AI for 13 years. AI isn't
Okay.
new, right? Like AI is not like, yeah, like OpenAI and Gemini and all these things have made it famous, have made it like that everybody knows about it.
Okay.
But we built AI about like we started I remember clearly I was with one of our data scientists in a room and we started it like about like 11 years ago, right? So like it's
Okay.
built within the platform everywhere. It doesn't have to be flashy and showed and like put on display for it to be built within the TMS as this control tower, as this brain that will that will do things and make decisions so that you don't have to. Um, so that's I would say just we're built different.
Got it. So everybody talks about AI native, and what you're saying is like you actually did do that before people were writing
Yeah,
articles about it.
that's right. That's exactly
Um,
right.
so there's a question. I'm going to read this to you. It's a little computery for me. Our TMS process has security checks that pull LLM data based on location, shipper consignee risks, and freight description anomalies. Are you also considering adding this type of validation services that would tailor to cross-border mitigation risk for carriers, as much as shippers and brokers need to validate carriers? This becomes very important in liability challenges as per the Montgomery rulings. So this is coming from a motor carrier. Do you guys serve motor carriers, or do you only serve brokers?
We don't serve motor carriers
Okay.
today. We serve unless they have a broker
Okay.
attached to
Okay.
them. Our tool is very much dedicated to brokers.
Yeah, Dave, this is a really good question. I don't know that Jonathan and I can speak effectively to you as a carrier, but I can tell you how I think about risks related to location and like geography. And I know Jonathan thinks about it the same way. In highway, we do that, right? So one of the things that if you're a highway customer, you'll see in highway in our load lock solution is you'll see if something is a high risk pickup. So, for example, like highway will independently tell you if you're picking up at a facility where Tito's vodka ships from or where Legos ship from, because people like to steal Legos, people like to steal Tito's vodka, people like to steal tennis shoes. So we independently will tell you that. If you're a Transfix customer, you'll get that in your TMS as well. That'll go right to the TMS. You'll get it right in the booking validation as a yellow flag. We'll tell you if you are picking up alcohol and the carrier that you're loading has a potential cargo exclusion. That'll also be right in Transfix. So I think having location data that's independent of having location intelligence that's independent of like what the shipper tells you is going to kind of be table stakes. It's funny when Jonathan and I talk about this. Like what we think of as table stakes is very new to people. Like why wouldn't you know where you're picking up regardless of what the shipper tells? Like why wouldn't that just be data that's aggregated and dispersed into your TMS and is ubiquitous? Like what wouldn't you know that? You have the insurance, you have the address. Like you should just know that. Like you shouldn't have to rely on your shipper to tell you, because sometimes your shippers give you bad data. All right, here's another one. Does highway alert us if a carrier has a change in safety rating after we onboard and approve that? Yes, we do. It depends on how your TMS handles that data. So the reason I'm doing this with Jonathan is like I get a lot of questions about what can highway do, and I almost can answer affirmatively to almost everything except for the cross-border carrier question. Now, whether your TMS can accept the change and intervene for you is the question you need to ask your TMS provider. Now, I'm going to let Jonathan answer how Transfix handles that because I know what he does. But so if there's a change in authority specifically, like what happens? Carriers onboarded, in transit, or it's in they were fine yesterday, they're different today. What happens?
So it's the demo we showed.
Yep.
You'll see an issue right away coming into the. So it really depends the stat. Like is a carrier on a shipment? Are they not on a shipment? Right? Like if there are no shipments if there are no live shipments today, when it's time for you to book the carrier, we will show the change right in the screen, and you'll make a decision not to use them, or you can even say on a global level, I don't want any of my rep to be able to book that carrier. That carrier is no longer available to anybody.
Yeah,
Like you
that was gonna
can
be my
make,
question.
yeah,
If there are hard stops, Jonathan, like safety stops or
yep,
authority, can you bounce them
yep,
from shipments automatically? Does it automatically just kind of
yep.
no user
If
intervention required?
Yep, and actually, you said those rules in the highway.
Yeah.
They're the rules that you guys send us on behalf of the brokers, and if it's a hard stop, like we stop everything. Carrier's off the load, carrier is no longer bookable, and all this stuff. If a carrier is literally it has picked up and it's on the road, right? And carrier already like changes or you discover, I don't know, it's your tracking shows, hey, it's starting to go the wrong direction. Like we ring all the alarms that we can within the TMS. You're seeing all the message and you know what to do.
This is so fun. I love this live stuff. My IT person feels this is an FMCSA change and is a highway problem with the new info out of Modus, that our TMS shouldn't have to change anything. Trying to explain that to them, that there has been noticed by you all that our TMS will need to make some changes. I can't get this through to them. Am I overthinking this? Okay, Teresa, I'm gonna try to interpret your question the best I can. And so I'm going to speak computer, which I'm not good at, and I'm going to ask my French friend here to fill in. So you got a couple things going on with Modus. One, they changed a lot of things for the whole industry, and I'm happy to go on record saying it was poorly documented and poorly deployed. Is that fair, Jonathan? I mean, you've been doing this
That's
for a long
yeah,
time.
that's
And
extremely
so
poorly deployed.
you're going to have some vendors out there, Teresa, saying that it's not a big deal. And the reason is because they're not very significant platforms. They don't touch your onboarding flow the way that I do. They don't touch your onboarding flow the way that, Transfix will for their customers. And so what happens when there's a data change, like what Modus did, they've moved an entire database. And when you do that, you change what's called mappings. You change the names of things. And so you may have authority underscore history, and it maps to this thing in your TMS that's called authority underscore history dot something, right? Depending on the syntax. Well, when someone changes the name on the other end, we don't now know where to map. The system doesn't automatically adapt to those mappings. And so you may have a status change in your TMS that's sitting there. Explain this, John, because if the data mapping changes and nobody tells you that they changed the naming convention, like we, the
It's
vendor, have to go figure that out.
I actually think you're doing a really good job, like
Thank you.
simplifying
It's been
things.
hard. Jordan's losing his mind.
I like because you're right. Like so, like the conceptually computers, AI, all of it is actually really dumb. It only do what you tell it to do. It will not do anything else outside of what you're telling it to do. So, like, if you have a system that is based on any old configuration and a new thing comes in, it doesn't self adjust. The TMSs, if I'm understanding the question correctly, I respectfully disagree with the IT perspective. I think TMS absolutely will have to do something no matter what. But on top, but they should want to. They should actually.
They should
But
want
actually,
to.
it's not like do they have to? Do they not? New things are happening in the field every day. You should want to adapt to them so you deliver to your customer the best and latest, whether they're like, connection with highways or like ways to detect fraud faster or like whatever it is. You should want to be doing that.
Yeah. I mean, but the reality is like, let's just talk about the way that a TMS should work, Sandra, or Teresa, sorry. If you need to be able to rely on what's happening in your TMS for your booking validation. That's essentially the question you're asking, is can I rely on what's coming through my TMS? And if like so much of what many vendors do, including me, is we're aggregating data. We're aggregating data and we're reproducing it in a way that you can consume it and make and get to a decision point. And remember, we talked about risk being in the decision. And so if the field mappings change from the place where you're consuming data, you're going to have to adjust that. It's going to be the same if you change tracking providers. So if you change tracking providers and your IT person said, well, we shouldn't have to change anything, that would be a really asinine statement because MacroPoint and Project 44 may send you the data in a different way. And you're going to have to do some work to consume that. If you fired me and went to RMIS, like you're going to have to redo your integration. We send things differently. So like the idea that you don't have to make a change when data changes is just really like, yeah, we should probably have a sidebar about who your IT guy is. So there's another question about like carrier changes. Yeah, we have some API calls you can make if you want to understand like the history of a carrier. And if you reach out to your CSM, we'll help you understand that. But anytime you're consuming a variety of data in any one vendor's API, like a good vendor is going to slow you down and say, hey, what problem are you trying to solve?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
what I can tell you, what Jonathan can try to tell you is like once the data leaves our system, like we don't know how to support you.
Yeah.
Like if you
We
try
don't know
to
what's
pull it
happening.
out, I don't know what's happening with it. And so like before you just call me or Jonathan and be like, I want to suck all this out and do something with it, please tell us like, what's the problem you're trying to solve. We may be able to solve the problem for you.
Yeah. And we might have a solution that already does.
That's right. That
Right.
you just don't
Like
know
it
about.
might already, yeah, it might already be there, right? Like that, like we have a RFP solutions, right? And like it has nothing to do with fraud and it has nothing to do all this, but like users tend to love to look at it in an Excel spreadsheet. So they have the download button. I hate that button. I hate that button so much. So the
I
moment you
know.
click it, like I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
I don't know why you changed the rate in an Excel spreadsheet outside of our system. Like I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, we've
And
we've
that's
seen a lot of that with the modus changes, Jonathan. Like our
yeah.
customers are just like wearing out the export button, and we're like calling, go, hey, what are you trying to figure out? Like lots of
Hmm.
things are changing, and then also keep this in mind too. The minute you pull data out of your TMS or out of Highway, it's old. Like it's old. Like it's
Yeah.
no longer being like people ask us, oh my gosh, Jonathan, we should talk about user tables. People ask us all the time, like why you can't download users, like because the user could change the status of the user, their location, their validity, like the reason you use a sign-in product, like a something that runs on the SSO protocol, like you want to understand the validations around whether or not you want to understand whether or not the user is still valid. And the minute you
Yeah.
pull a user, that's why when you look in Transfix and you're looking
Yeah.
at that user table, it's very important that you understand like Transfix does something very different. It's not static
Hmm.
because a user that you trusted an hour ago could be compromised in the last hour. And if you consume that and you download it, I can't help you. Like I can't help you if you're using old data. Talk a little bit about like how people should think about just consuming data, like how rapidly it changes, Jonathan.
I mean, it's why I'll take. I feel like I'll take a big step back to go forward here. Like it's why TMS have to change, right? Like going back to like it's why getting live data, right, and making these updates isn't easy. It's not an easy procedure. Like it sounds sometimes it feels like when especially when you and I are talking, it feels like we're making everything a bit easy, right? We move we move quickly and it sounds easy, but making sure that the connections between highway and transfix, making sure that when a user becomes compromised in your system is shown in ours almost instantaneously. That's a difficult thing to do. That is
Very
not
hard.
easy. And so that's like in a way when we say the TMS don't want to do it, well, we know why. It's because it is hard. It's not easy. It costs money, and it's something that we have to look at all the time to make sure it works. And so, um, I'm not sure I'm answering the question properly, but in my mind, like it's just like you've got to be dedicated to this problem. You've got to be dedicated to making your customer like business grow and grow safely.
Yeah, I mean, if you are, here's what every broker on this call should do. You should ask your TMS provider how they QA their partner connections.
Yeah.
Like Jonathan
Well,
does this. He's done some of them himself with our CEO because they're so important. Because he was one of the earliest people to build a highway integration
hmm
when we didn't have as much as we do today. And so, like, if your TMS providers are not QAing your partner solutions, you're going to have data fidelity issues. I had an issue the other day with a customer that, like, they missed an update because their TMS provider didn't QA the way that load stops update. And so when a customer reordered some stops in a load, it messed with the carrier assignment and everybody stopped receiving data. And so, like, it's no longer, risk has moved from rules to process. Risk has moved from just your rule set to your process. And your TMS provider has got to understand that they're no longer just potentially creating a bug or an operational gap. But if they're not staying up to date on the things that you need, they're actually inserting unnecessary risk into your business. This is why it's really important. And it is hard to do. And so I would compel, look, we've got a lot of partners. I'm doing this webinar with Jonathan because I trust him. But like, you've got to ask the tough questions. Like, you are going to be held responsible. The shipper's not going to ask you who your TMS provider is and if it's their fault the load got stolen.
yeah. The TMS provider is not named in the lawsuit either,
That's right.
right? Like,
That's right. That's right.
it like they're not named in the lawsuit. I think you cannot afford to push back on what like, oh, but it used to work. Like you can that can't be that can't be the default anymore. That can be what we're expecting. Like this is the difference between brokers that aren't that might not make it, right? And the one that will survive, but not only survive, that will thrive. Like I
That's
think
right.
there's an opportunity here, right? Like if you get all of this buttoned up, then you can really grow your business safely and faster.
So let's talk about growing safe and fast because that comes down to decisions, right? So we talked about a little bit about like TMS providers that maybe are a little bit behind. We've talked about risk being the decision. The flip side of this is when data is good, we can make better decisions, right? And so
Yes.
we're integrated with TFX. We surface that capacity. Like, talk about how when you actually do this correctly, the flip side is like you turn down all the noise and you see the good guys. Like, how have you seen customers? How have you seen that grow?
I'm glad you say it this way, right? Because like every conversation about fraud makes carriers sound like the bad guys, and like we have worked through our 10 years as a broker with amazing carriers,
Yeah.
carriers who are wonderful people that have built great businesses that through sheer hard work, nothing else but incredible work ethic and hard work. And this everything here is like make like so I like, to agree, like to push on your statement, like yes, like if you can prevent all the bad stuff, etc. But like there's such power in showing you all the good guys, in
Yes.
showing you all the good carriers, and the ability to move past all like the first conversation, like you already know they're a good carrier. Like you can have a trusted conversation from day one. I think that is very empowering to the rep, to the carriers, and in, it changes the vibe. It changes the way you do business. And I think that's incredibly powerful.
Yeah, and I think what we're saying is when you take, highways meant to sit now being more than just onboarding. We try to think ourselves like Plaid, like Visa, like the rails, right? Like where like if you're a Transfix customer and you use highway and Transfix is helping you prosecute a transaction and set appointments. Like I don't do any of that. I don't set appointments. I don't do check calls. I don't manage your PODs or documents. Like Jonathan does all that. But we will
Yeah.
secure the rate confirmation. You can send it through highway. We can help you do the transaction, But what's important is that like now everybody's playing by a set of rules. So the good carriers, they're going to show up. And there was a question in here about vetting the carrier at the MC level and people that have an agent model. Look, if you're working with a company like Veterans Logistics and that's owned by the same company that owns Arrow, you're going to be fine. Evans Delivery, or the Evans, I think it's Evans Delivery. There are carriers that have an agency that are very large, but what you have to be sure of is like, hey, if you're in an agent model and that carrier is leased onto you, great. It should show up on the insurance. It should show up on the telematics. And if a motor carrier is telling you that they're an asset agent and that that's their truck, right? And it's an agency of like, you need to make sure they're not just double brokering your load. And if you don't see that equipment showing up in Transfix, if you're a Transfix customer and you don't see that equipment showing up in Transfix, you're gonna get a potential overbooking alert because we don't see the truck. So anytime somebody uses the word agent, leased on, what I want everybody to be cautious about is somebody who broker freight for 20 years. I used to know in my knower that they were really double brokering my freight. And before double brokering was real dangerous, if they were really good at it, I just kind of winked and I was like, it'll probably be okay. We can't do that anymore. And that's kind of the dirty secret of this industry. And the good guys are willing to show up and go, yes, it's my truck. Here it's insured. And if you're that carrier, systems like ours are going to make sure you get a whole bunch of freight. We're going to prioritize you in search results. We're going to make it really easy for you to get freight. We're going to deliver the documents to you really easy. And I want to like make sure you understand that like there's two guys that ran brokerages. Like we don't want to just stop fraud and sell software. We actually want to help good brokers and good carriers make a lot of money. Like Jonathan ran a brokerage. Like I ran a brokerage. Back office sucks. Like back office processes are hard. And the fewer carriers that you give more loads to, your back office expense goes down if you're a freight broker. Right, Jonathan? Like if I can give a whole bunch of loads to less carriers, my back office gets a lot easier. Like brokers want to give you freight. Yeah, your rates are better. Yeah. It doesn't mean they get lower, it just means they get better. They're more consistent. Yeah. It doesn't mean they're cheap, but you're not riding this roller coaster.
Yeah.
And so like we're ultimately trying to design systems to pull friction out of your business. Trying to pull friction out of your business. We're trying to pull the risk around a human decision out of your business. And when you pull the friction down, the better decisions go up. I want to talk about one more thing because I've seen it in the results. I've seen it in the Transfix results. Let's talk about automatic bookings. You have made this happen. I've watched you make this happen natively where it's not digital brokerage, but like you are creating true automation around like digital bookings, like carriers that are coming back, they're working with consistent freight, and you're automating that. Like talk about your results.
I mean it's how we used to book freights. It's how our customer today are booking freights. Um, the big metrics we used to like talk about, like we had 67% of our spot freight. I'm not even talking about the contract freight who goes into an RFP, who go into a waterfall. Obviously, we have all the waterfall stuff, but that's easy automation. It doesn't count. What with the much harder automation is like your spot freight, right? Like how do you get those?
I love what you just said. I love what you just said. Like you don't count the easy stuff as a win. You're going to talk about the hard stuff.
No, it's like, our like there's nothing worse than like when I go on LinkedIn and I see like we now process like a billion trillion amount of data. Like, all right, what does that do?
That's great. Yeah, that's awesome.
I like to talk about like
you have a big AWS bill. Congratulations.
So, like, cool. I'm going to talk to you about how we automate the hard stuff because that's what matters. So, out of the spot freight, we have it was about like between 65 and 67% automations. And the way it works is like once you've got those consistent carrier vetted by highway, we have like a way to like match the freight to them. When the shipment comes in, we're like, wait a minute, okay, this carrier has run a lane that's very similar. It might not have been that same one because again, it's spot, so it's all over the place. But it might not have been. It's very similar. It's based in like where their headquarters is. It's like it matches all of their criteria. We contact
All the
them.
rule validations, all the location, live location.
Live locations. They have a truck nearby. Like, let's send them the freight. And then we've got like, we meet carriers where they are. Like our TMS doesn't. The carrier wants email, it's email. They want text message, let's do text message. Like, I don't want force carriers to do anything. It's hard enough. We meet them where they are, and then the conversation happen in that platform, whichever it is, and we can book the freight fully automated. There's no human behind it. Like, it does the negotiation, and the human like can, and like our rep sees those conversations happening. They could intervene if they want to, but if everything's going well, the carrier get the load and everybody's happy. And that's like part of, like, you mentioned the happy path or the good carriers. Like, that's like when it's like everybody's liking it, right? Like, it makes money for everybody. Like, let's just execute the freight, make make all of our end customer happy, and
But you're trying to build
it
that
writes
user journey
itself.
for the carrier as well, is what I hear you
Yeah,
saying. Like
yeah,
whatever,
yeah, yeah.
however, and that may, you may want to augment that. You may show the carrier something better than a text message over time, but initially, like, you got to meet them where they
Well,
are.
yeah, like exactly, like it pushes them to our platform eventually. Like, whether it's like you got to sign a rate confirmation with like you guys going through and go like we need to
Yep.
get that rate confirmation, um or it's about finding other shipments, right? Like, well, you just booked this one. Do you want all the other ones? Like, that's much harder to do on a text message and things like this. But that those initial touch point is, yeah, it's where they are. And then hopefully
Yeah,
we should have a
you mentioned
better.
something. You mentioned something really important. So, like, if a motor carrier uses sign in with Highway to take a rate confirmation,
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about
they
that.
sign in with Transfix, right? And Transfix has a really slick integration. When they're doing something as simple as taking a rate confirmation, Transfix can see that carrier and offer them more freight.
Yeah.
If you're a freight broker. And so like, Highway's mission is actually to disappear and make the freight broker the point. And so, like, now when Jonathan says our platform, it's really the broker. Like Nick asked a question about owning the data. Like, Jonathan, you should answer that. But like, it's really important, Nick. They don't own a brokerage anymore. Like,
Yeah,
Transfix
we don't.
no longer owns a brokerage.
No, we don't own the data. Like, we're very specific, right? Because even with other TMSs, what we found is like you sort of own the data, but you can't really have access to it, which is kind of weird. Like, it is your data. We do not use it to make, like, we only like our contract with customers is very specific. Well, we only use the data to make you, like, the end customer, better. Like, your data makes you better. No any other brokers. It is very, very separated. There is no sharing. Down to our, like, pricing algorithm does not mix and does not create like an index from like different customers that we have. Everything is very, very separated, and yeah, we're not a broker at all, so we don't. There's no risk of us seeing it.
I want to answer one more question from Stephen Wu, and then we'll wrap up. So, Stephen, you're a computer manufacturer and also a shipper. Today, we don't sell to shippers, but what I would tell you is the largest brokers in the country that are very good at managing things like electronic shipments that use some of the best technology are available to you. And I'm happy to help you work with. You call me, happy to help you design rules where you can be really transparent with your broker partners. But Highway will never do anything to get between the broker and the shipper. It's just part of our operating philosophy. But we will help you. We will help you partner with your broker customers. And it's something, as a former broker, I believe that brokers can manage a carrier better than a shipper. Sorry if that's offensive, but 25 years of doing this, what I've seen. And so, like, I'm happy to help you. If you tell me who your broker partners are, happy to help you be really successful with them. Okay, we got to wrap up in a minute. So real quick, what are you most excited about, Jonathan? Like, what's coming up? Like what are you most excited about that's coming out in your summer releases?
Um, we've got a lot of LLM feature that's gonna show up in Q3. Um, whether they're like bots that you can talk to, or they can send emails on your behalf or do a lot of stuff. I think like there's like we've been very quiet about AI because it's been something that like has been living under the hood.
Yep.
And in Q3 it comes out of like being front facing, and I am very excited about it.
That's awesome. So if you want to see that, I would encourage you to come once your kids are back in school. The weather will be great in Dallas on August 31st and September 1st. Jonathan will be with us. We don't have a ton of platinum or premier TMS partners. And what that means is like TMS providers that are fully integrated across Highway. The ones that are fully integrated will be there showing you how they've built full integration around the booking decision and the validation. Transfix is one of those. If you want to see more live, come to our user summit. Jonathan and I are doing a breakout with some of our other providers. Between now and then, Jonathan, where can people find you? Are you going to be on the road? Where can they come see this?
Yeah, we travel all the time. So I think best way is you can ping any of us, but you can ping me directly if you want. My email is just jonathan@transfix.io. It's really easy.
Yep.
Our website is transfix.io. And we will answer really fast.
That's awesome, man. So, dude, I'm so glad we finally got to do this. We've been talking about it for what seems like a long time.
Yeah,
Just for the audience, like I'm so encouraged by you as a founder. I've watched you live through some really hard things, and I think that's what
thanks.
makes companies really resilient. Is when you go through hard things and you double down and you come out the other side. And so, man, congrats on your success.
Thank you.
Congrats on pivoting into this technology company and the way that you're serving the customer base. And man, I'm so proud you're still here, dude.
Thanks. I
I'm
really
so happy
appreciate
for
the
you, man.
partnership. I mean, I really appreciate the partnership since before broker to after broker to now, like, and as friends, like, I just thanks for everything.
Oh, dude, you're so welcome. I'm so glad we got to do this. If you want to find Jonathan at transfix.io. If you need me, Michael at highway.com. When you're early, you get to have a first name email. It's so cool.
Yeah.
If you ever get to go early in a company, do it just because you get a first name email. So thanks for joining, everyone. This will be recorded. Both of our teams will be happy to send it to you. And if you need anything else, reach out to us.
All right. Thanks, everybody.